Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to another replay analysis. Today is Platinum range. This is Platinum 2 specifically. And today is a PvT. We're looking at a Platinum 2 Protoss player with the name of Titan. Titan. He's a damn Titan. He's a big boy. And as replay analysis goes, we're going to look at what he's doing right, what he's doing wrong, try to help him figure out what's going on, all these kinds of things. First things first. Nailed it on that probe. You started that probe within 1 second of the game. I'm proud of you. You didn't rally your probe, though, and now you're going to have a late pylon. Your pylon should be going down. Okay, well, you know what? Just kidding. You're in a PvT. I'm totally okay with you building your pylon there. I take it back. I take back what I just said. As long as you're not building it down here or there. This is totally fine. Good job so far. So again, you're back on track. You're good. You're good. The only thing you're not doing that I think you could do a little better is stack that patch right there. You have stack, 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 one stack. So you have 3 out of 4 close patches stacked. Work on that. You also have 3 probes on both middle patches right now. So and one of them just shifted over. So I would say work on that a little bit too. So you're doing literally nothing at this point in the game, right? Like you have genuinely, you guys have like nothing going on. Like if we backed it up and watch your APM, it's not an insult in any way. It's just watch the APM here. There's like nothing going on, right? You might as well try to, stack all the close patches. And if you are doing it, I think you might have done a couple of them. That's good. I'm glad you're doing. It looks like you did a couple of them, which is good. Just keep doing it. Keep working on it for sure. Just know that if you, for me to ever go, you did great. You did a great job. For me to ever tell you you did a great job, it would be you would have all 4 close patches stacked before the first probe is spawned out of the Nexus. You can easily stack all 4 of these before 12 seconds is up. And what is the easiest way to stack it? Look how your probes automatically saturate. We'll go over this really fast and we'll move on. So look how your probes automatically go. They go all to the middle, right? You know what this means? Your probes are going to have a higher chance to stack up on the middle patches, and only individual probes are going to fan out to the sides. The reason why this works like this is because of the AI of how a probe mines minerals, okay? That's just how it works. So, notice how the automated split has now created 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1. That's very standard how that's going to go, okay? That's super standard. And what you can do to fix that, if you know that's how it's going to split every time, if you touch nothing, you can grab 2 probes from your 2 middle patches and send them to the corresponding outer patches. So this patch goes to this patch, and this patch goes to that patch. So the 4th in the middle, because there's 8 patches in total, so patch number 4 and patch number 5 go back to patch number 1 and patch number 8, if that makes sense. So the 2 middle patches go to the 2 sides. That's all you got to do. So it would literally be 2 clicks. You click 1 middle probe that turns the minerals like right here, this probe right here. You tell this guy to go to this patch right here right now. You let him turn it in and you right click this patch. You tell this probe right here, that's on the other middle patch. You let him turn it in and you now right click that patch right there. And you're done. That's all it would take. And then you try to make sure that these probes don't get off the patches. Again, I'm not going to give you guys full graphics for this one this time because, I mean, we've explained this a lot. If you guys want to see what I'm talking about, definitely go check out some of my coaching lessons I've done recently. I've talked about this mineral. I've done graphics for it as well, like so many fucking times recently. It's a long, drawn-out process to really thoroughly explain it. I'll just try to do a very, very quick explanation this time just for the sake of time because I don't want to talk about minerals for the next 25 minutes. But basically, a probe gets to a mineral patch. It mines the mineral patch for about 1 second, and then it goes, minerals pop into its hands, and then it goes away, right? It has minerals in its hands, and it goes back to the Nexus, turns it in, goes back to the mineral patch. It arrives at the mineral patch. 1 second goes by where it starts going, minerals are in its hand. Okay? So now, what happens is if your second probe arrives to mine minerals within about the first 30% of your first probe starting to mine minerals, which could be like 0.3 of a second, okay? Because it's literally like a second, so 0.3 of a second represents 30%. Hope I haven't lost anyone yet. But if your probe arrives anywhere between 0 Like if two probes arrive at the exact same millisecond at the mineral patch, one probe is gonna go, oh, you're mining it first? I'm gonna go over there now to another patch that is above 0.3 of a second into mining. Because then a probe AI will go, oh, we can stay here because it's long enough. The probe is long enough into its mining session that would make sense for me to now wait to now take turns. And as soon as the probes wait one cycle to take turns like this, they will keep doing it over and over and over and over and over as long as you have one probe per patch. So just making sure that it doesn't fuck up, essentially, what I mean by this is when I tell you to grab two probes out of the middle and send one to both sides, if you tell the probe to go, if you tell this probe right here, like right there, if you're like, hey probe, as soon as you turn in your mineral patch, go mine this patch that only has one probe on it. But if your probe that you tell to go mine this patch arrives at this patch at the exact same time that this probe arrives back at this patch again, one of those two probes is going to go, ah, fuck that, I'm going to a different patch again. So you have to tell that probe to recommand it to stay there for literally like 0.3 of a second. You can click the patch like 5 times if you want to. You can wait for about half a second and click it again, and your probe will turn around and go right back, and then it'll start mining for real. If you hit past that like 0.3 second threshold of when it starts touching the minerals. So that's all you got to do. That's all it is. It allows you to maintain good saturation of your 2 stack per close patch. It's nice because it gives you more money, and you know there's no reason to not do it. I feel like just people that don't do it, they just don't understand how to do it, or they don't understand what it means. It's fucking good money is what it is. It's good economy. Anyways, moving on. Hopefully that made sense. Okay, another mistake you're making, I feel like, is calculate in your build runtime for buildings with mineral mining. So what I mean is, don't tell a worker to go build a gateway off the mineral line when you're beyond 150 minerals. Tell a probe that just turns in, like, again, try to grab it, because you don't want to keep grabbing a close patch probe either if you can help it. Grab a fucking far patch probe that's got less efficient mining. Like, stack these close patches and let them be if you can possibly, you know, make that work. But grab a probe. Just grab a probe, okay? I would say fuck it. Just grab a probe. And if the probe turns in minerals, when a probe turns in minerals into your nexus, when you're at like 120 minerals, 120, you should like tell a probe, like right here, for instance, hey, run up and go build this gateway. Because in the time it would take the probe to go up there and then over here to build the gateway right there, would take you about, it would take the amount of time it would take you to mine 30 minerals. So you'd be building the gateway right at 40 seconds. But now that you haven't built the gateway yet, I feel like you're going to build it at, like, if you build it right now, you're going to build it at 43 or 44 seconds into this game. You built this gateway at 46 seconds. You built it 6 seconds after you could have built it. And again, if we're talking about how you defend all-ins, this kind of shit fucking destroys you. Wasted time for no reason. Yeah, you did a good chrono boost, though. Your probe continuous building has been nice. Your gas build time, like the build order of your gas was nice. You are scouting nothing. This is a little scary. I would say not the end of the world, though. You can still hold all-ins even though you don't scout them, in Platinum League especially. It is very possible. It really comes down... There we go. There we go. There's a scout. Okay, good shit. It just comes down to, like, if your build is efficient or not. And that gateway shit is where your build falls off efficiency. 6 seconds behind on everything is not good. Because that... people, there's a lot of players out there. This is where, like, it's hard to convince people that shit matters. Because a lot of people out there are like, ViBE, does it really matter that he didn't stack his close mineral patches? Does it really matter? And I go, yeah, it does. And they're like, why? Could you please elaborate on that? Yeah, it does matter because if you stack close patches right off the bat within the first 12 seconds of the game, your gateway would be able to go down at probably like 38 seconds because you would get money faster to build the pylon and the gateway faster. And that's like already, you know, a couple seconds behind from where you could have been if you had stacked properly rather than unstacking improperly, I guess is a good way to say that. So that's it's like a 1 or 2 second difference. It's not the biggest deal, right? 1 or 2 seconds is not the biggest number. But then if you also add it on to another problem, which is the gateway was delayed by 6 seconds. Now we're talking 7 or 8 seconds delayed for 2 things that have happened already this game. which the mineral one was definitely the more minor one because you had 3 out of 4 stacked for the the majority of the game. But you also ripped off the entire saturation of this patch to build your pylon earlier, so you had 0 probes running that for a little bit. That's also kind of shitty for you. As long as you put it on like right away, it's not the biggest of deals. But I would say realistically, I would say 2 seconds is a bit extreme. You're probably behind by about 1 second, or maybe even slightly less than 1 second for the mining so far. Not the hugest deal. It's pretty minor, but your gateway definitely fucking sucked. Your gateway is super far behind. So now what that means is we'll just go with the gateway, okay? Your gateway is legit 6 seconds behind from where you could have built it. And all that means now is that your core is now going to be 6 seconds behind if you build it perfectly on time. Your stalker, your first stalker is going to be 6 seconds behind. Your second stalker, third stalker, fourth stalker, whatever you're going to build, all of them are 6 seconds behind. And that's if you don't mess it up again. So every time you mess up, 6 seconds here, 5 seconds there, 4 seconds here, 7 seconds here, it fucking adds up. And suddenly, before you know it, within 3 minutes of the game, you're already like 18 seconds behind. It's like, wow, I didn't fucking, holy crap. Building buildings is actually important. Now watch this. You know what should be happening right now? Look at the build time of the build time of the gateway. If you build your core right there, you could pull a probe out. How long do you think it would take a probe to go from like right here to right here? I would say probably 3 seconds. So your probe should be getting pulled off at 1 minute and 28 seconds to build the core there. How long do you think it would take to build the core there? Or like over here? If you build it with like a probe in the middle, or like a probe off the patches, I would say probably like 4 seconds. A little bit, just a little bit longer, because it's a little further away. So you'd need to pull it off at like 127. If you don't even pull a probe off until after the gateway is done, and then again you build, like we'll see, right? So ideally, your core is supposed to start at 1 minute and 1 minute and 31 seconds, because it's 5 seconds from now. How late? Or sorry, if you build the Nexus first as well. Okay. You're correct. Sorry, I was getting a little carried away with the time. But now look at this. It's the same. Yeah, my bad. It's the same exact thing though with the Nexus. You have to calculate the travel time with mineral income. So you don't want to go try to build it as you get the money to do it. You want to be going to it with money that is going to bank into you as you're going to go build it. So like for instance, the correct ideology of doing this, of your Nexus, is that your probe arrives as you hit 400. Like let's go back and look at your build and see why it's fucked up. Exactly. Like what's going on with your probes? So you build a gateway. Your chrono boost, that's good chrono boost. Your gas is good. See how you have what is going on with these patches? Where is the second probe for this patch? I guess it just turned. There we go. Okay, your patches are starting to look better again. You still have some fucked up patches going on though. Like again, you have, so like for instance, you have here's one thing I'll just say. Okay, this is something that all players in Platinum need to like perfect to really be able to get into Diamond League. And like this is shit that this is the biggest way to say this. Is it mandatory to do the mineral thing that I'm saying right now? No, it's not mandatory. You could be GM and not give a fuck about your minerals ever. You could literally be GM and never give a shit about your minerals. But you want to know what stacking your minerals is? It's fucking easy. It is so fucking easy. And why not do it if it's easy? Because it helps you. It's a bonus. It's a buff to your economy. So look at this. Look right here. At this is part of the screen right here. This represents how many harvesters are on the patch. 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 2, 1, 2. Yeah. Non-stick pan, thank you very much for the 2 and 3 sub. Thank you.
ViBE hi.
Now, just for fun, let's just play it for a second. And this will never change, by the way. If we times 8 this will never go under 3. Ever. The whole game. I guarantee it'll stay this way. And this is a big deal because right now you have it is just one of your probes, but one of your first 16 probes mining minerals is mining very fucking inefficiently. It is not getting 100% efficiency right now. It is getting fractions of what it normally could mine if it was actually mining a proper patch. Because like here's an example. Okay, look at your patches. This one has 585. That's a 2 patch. 2 per, like it's a far patch that has 2 probes on it. 585. Your other far patch has 520. The reason why this is a little bit of a discrepancy here is because one of the patches might have had 2 a little bit, like the middle one had 2 a little bit faster than the further one, which is normal. This is very normal, but it's a very small mineral. It's within like 70 minerals of a discrepancy. Now look at this. One of your far patches has over 700 still, and the one that's triple stacked has only 400. So you want to know what this means? You've mined 100 more than you ideally would have on the close patch, or sorry, on the far patch with 3, and you've mined 200 less than you would have mined if you had proper saturation here. So if you really think about the average of what your patches should be like right now, you're about 100 minerals behind. Because if the average is 500, if you take 700 plus 400, what is that together? It's 1100. And if you divide that by 2, you're over 100 on both patches. Like with both patches combined, you're over 100 of what you should be at. So it's like 100 minerals down already where you'd ideally want to be. And it makes sense because it's not fucking efficient. It's a third probe on a patch does not have 100% efficiency. And the reason why does that make sense for anyone who's wondering? Because probes wait their turn to mine patches. They don't mine on top of each other. You can't have 16 probes all mining one patch at the same exact time. They wait their turn. And if you have 2 probes per patch, there is legit 0 waiting. There's 0 waiting time. Not even a millisecond. There's 0 wait time. But if you have a third probe on a patch, there's a lot of... The third probe, every time it arrives now, goes like this. Okay, I can mine now. The next probe that arrives. Okay, now I can mine. It just fucking waits and waits. Every single time. Yeah, you've added in this wait process into one of your probe's jobs at your mineral line. And now, if we're talking about your natural or your third or your fourth or your fifth or whatever, not that big of a deal. Because one probe here and there that gets fucked up like that is way less impactful when it's a smaller percentage of your economy. And it's also, at that point in the game, there's way more important shit going on than losing 100 minerals that, you know, in the mid-game where it's like 12 minutes into the game. Who gives a fuck if you lose 100 minerals? You lose one zealot here and there all day and it doesn't fucking make or break the game at that point of the game. But when it's talking about the developing stage of your build, how fast you can build your first fucking pylon and your core and your gate and your nexus, the things that develop your build all the way, it actually is fucking huge. It's massively different. It's like, think about like investing. We'll do an analogy and then we'll move on past this. Think about like an analogy with like investing. Imagine if you have 2 guys that want to invest into like the same stock, and you have one guy who's going to invest with $10,000 and you have one guy who's going to invest with fucking $100. The more money you have to start investing into future investments, the faster it'll fucking blow up. It's like, you know, it's like another thing where it's like, okay, let's use a number 2 and let's double it every time. 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, blah, 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 blah. It starts getting fucking crazy really fast because the initial income of your economy sets the pace for the rest of your economy. Later on, when you have a fuckload of money, it's not that important anymore. It just maintaining it at that point is nice, but it becomes less important as the game goes on. Each little probe that matters. It's huge at the early game. So I don't understand, like, people need to fucking practice this more than anything. Because again, what's happening at the start of the game? You're doing literally this. You click the nexus and you're like going like, ooh, I'm ready to build another probe, right? Okay, now let's build another probe. Okay, let's chill for another 10 seconds. Get ready to build another probe. Like nothing's happening, right? So you should definitely practice it. Definitely practice it. It's very, very worth your while. Okay, now let's go back. Go back to when you wanted to build the Nexus and make sure your build's not super fucked in some way. Okay. So your probe is going to go scout. That's fine. Like right there, you stopped building your probe, right? I think is what it was just now. Yes. You have chrono boost on your neck at 104, I think it was. Speed it up back to that. 105. At 105, at 105, you stop building probes. You have a Chrono Boost currently active on the Nexus as well, which is going to be massive. This is fucking huge. Because you get bonus production on your worker for the next 3 seconds, which is, it's nice not to waste your Chrono Boost. But when do you actually start a probe from here? You started a probe 6 seconds later. If you had that, just to throw it out there, if you had a Chrono Boost on that Nexus for 3 seconds, and in total it's been 6 seconds of build time, this probe would be 4 seconds for the Chrono Boost in production, plus another 3. This probe would already be 7 seconds out of 12, which means the probe bar would be right about there. It would be like a little more than halfway. You would have a probe popping out in the next 5 seconds, but now you have a probe popping out in the next 12 seconds. So this is why your build is thrown off, like with the numbers as to like why the shit made no sense here. And on top of that, you do rally probe 19, which is correct, so that's fine. But you didn't build a probe, which is why it's super off. But now it's the same thing, right? You'd want your probe to be building the Nexus right about 125, like right when you pass 400. This is the problem fucking every player has. And again, like, guys, why do I stress this so hard? People are always like, in the videos and stuff, they're always like, ViBE, Jesus Christ, why do you stress the early game so hard? Like, this shit doesn't even matter. And people who say that shit are fucking forever platinum. If you say that kind of stuff where you're like, ViBE, who cares? This shit is not important. You know what's important? Microing my units. I need to learn how to fucking micro my stalkers. You're the kind of person that if you think that way, I mean, I don't want to offend you or anything. I love you, man. I thank you for watching the video, first of all. I don't want to take a shit on you. But if you think that way genuinely, you are the kind of person that would legit never win a game in StarCraft 2 versus anyone like me. If I played you, I think I would kill you. If we played 1,000 games in a row, I would beat you 1,000 times in a row. I would never lose to you. Because that shit is fucking important. You want to maximize time, because time is the most important resource in StarCraft 2. So now if the Nexus can go down at 125 and we build it at 131, it started 0.4 seconds ago and it's 131. What this means is that your Nexus is 6 seconds late, and this is another delay in the build, right? And here's the thing about the delay in the build. How many probes do you think this Nexus is going to make throughout the whole game? How many probes do you think this Nexus will make? It's the same thing with this probe up here. Remember how we didn't make a probe for 6 seconds up there a minute ago? Just a second ago? With some Chrono Boost on it as well? If you don't make if you set up your economy like this, where you miss beats on time, this Nexus, the natural Nexus, we'll just talk about the natural Nexus, okay? The natural Nexus is 6 seconds late, and this Nexus is probably going to make, if I had to guess, about 25 probes. Or like maybe like 28 probes. Somewhere around there. It's going to be very close to that. And the reason why it's going to make so many is because it's one of your first buildings. The main Nexus probably builds like 34 probes, or like 35 probes. The natural probably builds like 26 to 28. The third base probably builds like 15, and the fourth base probably builds like 6 or like 4. Each Nexus does not build its own mineral line saturation, because you build probes the whole time out of like your first Nexus and you carry it over to the next bases, right? So these for the next like 28 probes or 27 probes or whatever the fuck it is that you're gonna make out of this Nexus, all of them, just because of this one mistake, are all now at least 6 seconds behind, and it could go on beyond that if you mess it up again at some point. But StarCraft 2 is a game of making as little mistakes as possible. That is how you play this game well. That's the right idea. Is you want to prevent yourself from making mistakes as much as possible, and the more that you make, the worse your build is overall. So now let's look at the core. Again, a probe should be going up to build the core like right now. Your core could go down at 1 minute and 34 seconds. Core goes down at 137. That's not that bad. 3 seconds? It's in the okay range. It's in the okay range. The fact that you actually moved the probe before you built the core made me happy. That's the right mindset. Just do it a little faster. Like, try to understand. Like, if you calculate, like for instance, okay, just look at this. Here's an example. Watch this. You ready? So, you have at 134. You have 150 minerals. You can build it right now, and you build it 3 seconds later, right? You build it at 137. So, check this out. Let's go back. Let's go back 3 seconds before 134. Let's go back to 131, and let's see if you would have pulled a probe off at 131. If you would have pulled a probe off right now, 131, the amount of time it would take you to accrue the next 40 minerals to go from here to build your core. Like, this is the kind of shit you want to get like comfortable with, right? Am I saying you have to do all of these perfectly? Definitely not. Like, right now, especially in Platinum League, no, you don't have to be perfect with this stuff, but you should start practicing this stuff, like trying to predict when first of all, this helps teach you how much fucking resources does a building cost. That's a big, really important thing to know. If you have no idea how much buildings cost, definitely learn that. For anyone out there that wants to learn StarCraft 2 to a very like fast and like strong degree, definitely learn what buildings cost. Secondly, try to be able to understand what, like if I were to go like this, if I were to go, okay, how long would it take a probe to go from here to there? And how many minerals would I probably have by the time I got there from there? That big line. If I took that line right there, how much minerals would that probably give me? If this green line means fucking nothing to you, you should probably start thinking about things like this. Because if I had to guess, you guys can guess what you think. Whatever you want to think, it doesn't matter. Go ahead and ballpark it or whatever. Just think about it for yourself for a second. But I would say, if I had to guess, if I pulled a probe from the green box to where it starts to where it ends, and I wanted to build a building right there at the end of it, I would say the amount of time I would walk with my current economy, the amount of time I would walk from left to right, I would probably generate about like fucking 80 minerals. And it would probably take me about like 7 seconds to get there, or like 6 seconds to get there. Something, probably like 6 seconds and about 80 minerals is what I would say. To get, because again, you're grabbing the probe. It starts off going slow. It goes over, and it gets over here to build something at this side. And then it comes to a stop. And right when it comes to it, because again, acceleration and deceleration are not as fast as move speed either. It doesn't have to be perfect. I might be a little bit off myself, but I would guess a safe guess would be in the range of 5 or 6 seconds. 6 is definitely on the longer end, obviously. But these are the kinds of things you should think about, because why does it matter? Again, people that are like, right, it doesn't fucking even mean shit. Does it? Does it not? Because so far, the gateway's been delayed, the Nexus has been delayed, and the fucking core has been delayed. So if we add up the core delay and also the gateway delay, 6 seconds on the gate and 3 seconds on the core, that means guaranteed all of our stalkers are fucking 9 seconds delayed. And for what? For literally nothing. There's no reason why they need to be delayed like that. It just means that our build was not efficient. That's 9 seconds is a lot. If you have a guy show up at your base and you fucking count, like we'll actually do that. When this guy attacks you, we'll count to 9 and we'll see what's going on. Now this is very all-in looking. Anyone who builds 3 depots this fast, this is very fast, by the way. This is super fucking fast to build 3 depots. Now, there could be shit behind them back here. He might just want to not let you scout his base, but I just want to give you a bit of information really fast. If someone wanted you to not scout their base, and they wanted to actually do something that revolved around tech or around economy, they'd probably wall off with their barracks. And the reason why they would probably wall off with their barracks is because this is so fucking inefficient. This is super inefficient if he has a barracks that's literally right there. This is so much cost in his build. So even if he was building a fucking barracks there and then he does this build sucks ass for your opponent if it's not an all-in. The only type of all-in this really makes sense with a build like this, or type of, not even all-in, but the only type of build that makes sense when a Terran does something like this is that they've proxied you. Because again, if he's going to go for tech, or if he's going to go for economy, and he wants to not let you scout it, it makes no sense to not have the barracks here. Like, why the fuck would you build a barracks here in his base in the back and then invest in a triple depot? Because all that does is it slows down the tech, or it slows down the economy, because it's an extra cost that it goes to. Because again, they're fucking done already. These are already 3 done depots. So if you look at your build, you have 1 pylon, right? You have 1 pylon. He's already made the equivalent of 3 fucking pylons on the ramp. That is a cost that is not free. So if you already have 3 done depots, not only did he have to send multiple SCVs to do this, but also, and he like loses mining time from the SCVs not even being there because they're building depots, but it's the cost of the depots that would have to go in first before he could make other buildings. I hope this makes sense. So again, the only build that really makes sense with is a fucking all-in, and the reason why it makes sense with an all-in is because he's trying to protect his SCVs to not get killed by having a wall here that will slow you down, that he can repair as well on the other side if it's like zealots or some shit. Ideally for him, while he proxies you and kills you. I hope that makes sense. This makes no sense though unless it's a proxy. But even if you don't know it's a proxy, it's like whatever. Because I will say this, the scouting, being able to scout this and then register what this scout means is like 5% of the importance here of like what's important. The other 95% of what's important is your build not being behind. Now let's watch your core. So again, we're 9 seconds behind already, right? If you guys remember, we're not even talking about your minerals, but your minerals are also behind for their own reasons. But you're 9 seconds behind already on your stalker from just your gateway and your core. Now let's watch. How long does it take you to build a stalker out of that gate when the core is done? Core is done at 12:12. Or sorry, at 2:12. 2:12. Your stalker starts at 2:15. That is now another 3 seconds that has gone by. That's 3 more seconds. That's now fucking 12 seconds behind. I'll say 213. I'll give it to you. I'll say 213. It was like on the upper end. It was like probably 212.8 or some shit. So I'll give you 213. So we'll say now you're only 2 seconds because you do make it at 215. So that one, not 2 seconds again. That's okay. Like if you did it millisecond right after it started, that'd be great. This is also a sign that tells you definitely fucking start that stalker. Make that shit now. But still, with all things considered, the gateway delay was definitely the biggest one. The core delay was okay. The stalker delay was okay. These 2 auto workers are also right here. They're not actually scouting, or they're not actually mining the gas. That's also kind of a problem, but yeah, it's fine. That's something that like I feel like that was just a misclick, and he could fix that by not misclicking the gas. That just requires getting more comfortable with the game. I feel like that's something that doesn't really need to be talked about too much. Yes, it's gonna fuck you over, but you attempted to put if you never even had probes here, then I would talk about it more, because I'd be like, why are you not mining the gas? You definitely need to mine the gas. You attempted it, you fucked it up. At least you attempted it though. The way you attempted it was correct. But now let's see what goes on with your probes after this. So like this probe right here, for instance, the very first probe that arrives, and this should be standard in your build order every time. The very first probe that arrives at your natural should be building a pylon. Like before it even mines minerals. And it's once again, especially if you see this is fucking like major all in here. Why the fuck is there no barracks here? I want you to think about this for a second. Okay? I'm going to go back one more time and I want to explain something really quickly. This is how I feel like people, if they read builds like this, it'll make your life so much easier. The question would be, did you know that a supply depot, I've said this actually wrong before, but I'll actually say it right this time. Did you know that a pylon build time is actually faster than a supply depot by 3 seconds? So it's 18 to 21, 18 pylon, 21 supply depot. They both cost the same minerals, but the depot is actually a longer build time than the pylon. Okay? And did you know that if you think about it like this as well, if you build a depot, the depot is being built by the SCV, which is not mining minerals. He has to be there to build the depot. Everybody knows this. But now let's think about this for a second. You see 3 fucking depots already done. This is 3 SCVs worth of time that did not mine minerals for over a minute. This is also 300 minerals and investment. Okay. Now, if we really think about it, what have you done? You've made 1 pylon, you've made a gate, you've made a nexus, and you've made your core. And you've also made double gas. So, think about it in a way where if you were to compare cost of things from build to build, and right now you have made 400 for nexus, you've made 150 for gate, you've made 150 for core, you've made 100 for pylon, and you've made 150 for 2 gases. What is this all together? This is 400, 650 or 550, 700, 800, 950. This is 950 minerals of cost. Now, if we think about it for Terran, and so 950 is your total for Protoss, and we subtract 300 off of that, which now puts it at 650 for Terran. That means all this guy can afford, realistically, is 650 minerals worth of investment. Now, what do you think that's going to be? Do you think that's going to be a command center right now? Do you think that's going to be a barracks right now? Because you also have to realize, again, the real situation of it is, here's the real situation as well, is Protoss will mine minerals faster than Terran will mine minerals before an orbital command exists. Okay? Before mules exist, Terran mines slower than Protoss. The reason why is because you can chrono booster probes faster than Terran can have a mule active in the game. And on top of that, you also don't have to sit there and build buildings with Protoss. They can build it and immediately go back to mining minerals, like how you built the pylon and the gateway and the core and all this shit. So you're not wasting mining time. So Protoss actually has an edge. So Terran actually doesn't even have the real amount that you have right now, which is 650 discrepancy. Terran probably has something more around the range of like 580 to 600, realistically. Because again, you've already chrono boosted probes out this game, and you have also, it's a minute 49 seconds in the game, and you haven't had to build a single building, actually building the building. So we'll just go with 600 for the discrepancy of like some mining time that was different here. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's just, again, it's just understanding an assumption of what your opponent's capable of. So do you know what this means? If we take, let's just say this guy has a command center as well. That would mean there's only 200 minerals left to do something with. And 200 minerals is enough to build like 1 barracks and not even make a gas with it yet. So the odds of this guy going for a fucking command center are very fucking low. Very, 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 very low. And you want to know why they're very low? Another reason why it's super low is because if this guy went triple depot and then a fucking command center, this guy's barracks would be ridiculously late. Like insanely late. And he would easily fucking die to any type of aggression, like a cannon rush, or if you proxy gated him, or if you just made a unit out of your gateway and walked across the map. Like a stalker walks over here and starts killing him. He would just die to so many fucking things. Because again, at this point in the game, he has limited economy usage. So now let's go back to this and go, you know what? What if he has double gas? Minus 150 equals 450. That still leaves him a lot of potential production. You know what you can do with 450 minerals right now? You can fucking make 2 or 3 racks. Probably more like 2. And you want to know why we could only make like 2? Think about these things like this, okay? 2 racks makes more sense because again, if we're talking, remember how we said we got 600 instead of 650 because of the fact that Terran that has a weaker economy than Protoss early because they have to actually build the buildings and they don't have chrono boost right away. Well, if the Terran is going to proxy racks you, it means they're also going to run SCVs across the map and not even mine minerals with those SCVs. And if it takes, let's just say, if he runs 2 SCVs across the map and it takes both of them about 40 seconds to get across the map. You know what that means? It means his minerals actually is about, instead of 600, it's more like 520. How did I get that number? Because in general, if an SCV is mining, or any worker in the game is mining one or like 2 workers per patch, if a worker mines like that and it's not 3 stacked or 4 stacked, if it's 2 per patch or 1 per patch, it mines about 1 mineral per second. Every time it turns in, it takes about 5 seconds per cycle, and you get 5 minerals per cycle. So it mines about 1 mineral per second, and if he runs 2 SCVs across the map for 40 seconds, it means he just wasted 80 minerals to go proxy 2 Raxes. And now if we're gonna subtract 300 minerals for 2 Raxes off of 520, that now puts us down to 220 minerals. You know, for the fact that he could have fucking 2 proxied racks starting over there. And now if we're going to think about what pairs well with proxied racks, he could, I would say this would make sense. If there's 200 left over, I would say the possible build that could exist right now would be, it's either no gas, 3 proxied racks, so it would actually be 450 because each racks is 150, or it would be 2 racks, which is 300, minus an additional gas of either 1 gas or 2 gas, which it spends the rest of his money. If you think about it like this, it makes more fucking sense. I know these numbers right now for a platinum player, you're probably like, what? What? Wait, what? And I just want you to know, okay? Again, logically, it makes a lot of sense what we just said. But just know, if you've only made 1 pylon and your opponent's already walled off with 3 fucking depots, this motherfucker does not have a command center. In what world does that make sense? No world at all. There is no command center for this guy. Because again, if this guy wanted to make an early command center in a greedy way, he'd be better off not building another depot here and building a command center like in the fucking wall, or at the very least building his barracks in the wall and then building a command center like over here or some shit. This is 3 depots. He does not need 3 fucking depots right now. He does not need 3 depots. That's the whole point I'm trying to make here. He does not need that shit right now. The only reason why he has it is because he does not want you going into his base. So I hope this makes sense on how to scout somebody, because again, the whole reason why I'm stressing on this so hard is because there's no urgency so far out of what I've seen out of your build in terms of like reacting to the fact that you're getting all in here. Also, you want to know why your probes got fucked up? I can tell you why your probes got fucked up. This is a tip. Everyone out there, Titan, and anyone else listening, watch what he does with the rally point of the gas. I'm sure I'm about to give you guys a brain fucking epiphany right now. You're like, what the fuck? I didn't know that. I'll show you right when you do it. So far, correct. Correct. Watch your nexus. Watch the rally point of your nexus. So far, it's acceptable, but it's incorrect at the same time. And here's why. If you rally point a nexus onto a Vespine geyser that does not have a building on it, no matter what race you are, your workers will get stupid and stand there. They won't mine the gas because they're being told to walk to the geyser. Even if you build a geyser on it afterwards, the way you fix that, the only thing this does is it makes your worker go towards the geyser. So you could like build the geyser or something like that. But you needed to rebuild or reset your rally point on the gas right now. As soon as a building is on the gas, you retell the nexus to re-rally to the gas. Because now you're not telling it to go to the geyser. Now you're telling it to go to the assimilator. Every race works like this. So if you rally before you fucking build it, you need to re-rally after you build it. Notice how there's proof of it right there. Watch the probe after you build the probe. Watch this. So you build the gas, right? Watch this. You build the gas. This probe, you tell this probe to mine the gas. So this probe is going to, when it touches the gas, it fucking stops. It literally just stops. The probe that's being told to go to the gas geyser is going to try to walk through the assimilator and get to the gas geyser. And then the AI is going to say, we can't get there. There's a building in the way. And then it's going to stop. So watch. This probe is, it just hugs the geyser. So again, just look, just watch. I can already tell what you just did. You told this probe, again, with the minerals in its hands, you said, probe, mine the gas, but first, return the minerals. So this probe with minerals in its hands is going to walk to the gas geyser, and it's going to, again, it's going to immediately stop because it's actually targeted on the assimilator. But this probe right here that I'm now selecting is still targeted on the Vesping geyser, not the assimilator. So it's going to walk into the fucking assimilator for like it's going to like walk through it like, I can't get through the assimilator. Looks like I can't touch the gas geyser. Watch the probe I'm selecting right now. It'll like fuck up against the geyser. It'll move while it's touching it. Do you see that? It's very subtle, but I'll slow it down one more time. For one more time for I didn't go far enough. One more second. I'll slow it down and just watch. It will ram into it and it will slightly move. Watch right here. It's gonna move like a little smidge. You see how it's moving? And it's like its ass is still pointed up and it's like, and then it finally just gives up and it stops. It's still on move command, by the way. Now watch the fucking and here's another example. Look, see how their commands are different? See how one of them's on a gather command and one of them's on a move command? It's because if you right click a probe on a unbuilt gas, it is telling it to move to it. If you right click an assimilator, it tells it to mine it. So this probe's on mine command, not move command. It's on a mine command because you told it to right click the gas, the assimilator itself, not the geyser. So this probe will not have that ass up effect. It will get to the gas and it will stop and it will wait to mine. So when this probe arrives, it'll immediately stop. Immediately stops. Now watch this probe. Same thing will happen to this probe. It will have its ass in the air. And it will fucking move against the gas again. This probe will once again move against the gas because it's on a move command. So I feel like I made the point. I don't have to stress it anymore. I feel like you guys understand. That's why your workers got fucked up. Right there. And then same with this probe. He's still in move command. So that's why they're like, we're chilling. Oh, Fugsy, thank you very much for the 3-month resub. Thank you, dude. Okay, so you build the stalker. You didn't start warp gate either. You definitely need to do that too. Like, these are things, again, that are important about this whole build. No warp gate. Okay. Now, again, pylon should be started when this probe arrives. We talked about this a little earlier, but you need to make a shield battery. If you think you're getting all in, a shield battery. So okay, so you eventually make it. But again, look at this. This is the same shit again, right? This is. I'm definitely glad you submitted this because I feel like this is going to help you a lot. Because I feel like you have the right idea, but you're just doing it behind every time. So watch this. Here's another example. We already talked about how your stalker is like 11, 12 seconds behind in the game already from all the mistakes that we're having from the early gateway and shit. Now let's look at your battery. Realistically, this probe could go from right here and build a pylon right there in about 2 seconds. 1.5 to 2 seconds, I would say. Like that pylon could easily be down. It could started at 2 minutes and 31 seconds. 2:31. You start the pylon though at 2:36. So again, your battery now, just off we're not even going to talk about the battery yet because the battery hasn't even started, but the pylon that's going to support the battery is now 5 seconds behind. So your stalkers are like 12 seconds behind and your battery is now 5 seconds behind, bare minimum so far. It could go above that. And now look at the stalker. Your stalker finishes and you have, again, a chrono boost that's going to be excess that's not going to be utilized. Like, not really. It's like, never mind. I'm just joking. But let's see how. So 2:35, your stalker finishes. How long do we wait? Like it's barely anything. I won't count that. How long do we wait? until you make another unit.
I am here in the shadows.
Like, this is why you die right here. 100%. This has been like 30 seconds. You missed an entire unit basically right there. Your stock, what did your stalker pop out exactly? 230? Like 235 or some shit? Your stalker popped out at, yeah, 235. And you did not make a sentry until basically like 259.
I am here.
You made a sentry at 259. You missed 24 fucking seconds of build time on that gateway. That is almost an entire unit. And you still haven't inserted warp gate. And just so you know, this is how it goes. This is how the build should go. If you make a unit on the point, I waited so I could prioritize the robo. Don't ever do that. Don't ever do that. That is incorrect. Like, yes, I would agree. The gas screwed you hard. But this is where people always fuck the build up, I would say. Because I feel like what you're doing right now is this scout right here is telling you, all right, let's make the robo now because I want to get immortals for this. But you know what you just did? You just, again, this is the golden rule of what beta GM is, and 100% of the way through is efficiency. It is add buildings when you have excess money, and the build order is supposed to be you build a stalker, you build a sentry, and while building a sentry, you don't build it after or before. While building a sentry, you build a robo and a second gateway. And what this results into is your fucking sentry finishes, and then it starts immediately into a stalker again. Your gateway has no idle time. The gateway doesn't have to have idle time to start a robo or a gate. Because here's what the big deal is. If you start a warp gate upgrade, okay? And then you make stalker, sentry, stalker, you make a warp gate upgrade. What's going to happen is your fucking you're going to have 3 units spawn out of that gateway, and then warp gate's going to be really close to finishing. Warp gate finishes, and then you can immediately warp in 2 units at the same time because warp gate's going to finish around the same time as your second gateway is going to finish, close together, within about 10 seconds of each other. Because again, not everyone does it perfectly, so you can't say an exact second, but in general, warp gate finishes after you've made 3 units one by one out of your first gateway. Suddenly 2 gateways are now warp gates, and you can warp in 2 more units to make 3 go to 5. So you have 5 fucking units all of a sudden that are good to go. Also, look at this. Look at your pylon. Your pylon finishes. Again, it was 5 seconds later than it should have been. It's done at 2 minutes and 54 seconds. How late do you wait to build a battery? You never even start one. So to be fair, your battery would never have been done. But here's another thing. So you would have had more than one. You would have had more than one stalker for sure. You would have had like a stalker and a sentry guaranteed. You would have had a warp gate that's almost like a little more than halfway done, probably like 60% of the way done. You would have had a fucking robo and a gateway a little bit further back than they are by maybe like an extra like 6 seconds. To be fair though, your fucking stalker was delayed as well, so if you did the gateway properly as well in the earlier part of the game, you might have actually been able to have had these buildings right here at the exact same time that they're at right now. It's just you would have had faster gateway units because, again, it was delayed like we talked about already. And here's the even crazy thing. Remember how we talked about delayed probes? Do you guys remember how we talked about delayed probes? Like the missed seconds of the main Nexus not building probes. We didn't even watch the Nexus the whole way through the game, but I caught you not making probes, not when you waited for the core to finish, but you missed probes again when you chrono boosted and you waited, and 6 seconds later you started a probe again. And you built nothing in the process, which fucked up the natural. That was at like 17 supply or something. And then the natural was also delayed because you did it off of the 19 probe timer, which is now fucked up because you didn't make probes for a little while. So now you made the Nexus way after you had the money for it because you made it late. So you know what this all meant? It meant you had less probes as well at your base. And if you had more probes here, you could have pulled more probes to fight off the fucking bio. So you'd have more bodies in front of your Stalker Sentry to charge into the fucking bio to buy your Stalker Sentry more time to auto attack the Marines and Marauder. If you had a battery on the way and you had pulled probes and you had more Stalker Sentry, you could have fucking crushed this by just A-moving him with Stalker Sentry behind probe. But you're missing seconds all over the place with your build the way it's developing. Also, here's another thing. If you're worried about getting all in, okay, if that's the thought in your mind, don't put your fucking Stalker in the middle of nowhere. Unless you have a battery that's done. Maybe put your Stalker like right here. That way, if he attacks you, he first engages a building, not your Stalker. So if you're like, oh shit, he's got like 4 Marines and a Marauder over here shooting my pylon for a second, the pylon will not die in half a second like your Stalker does, because your Stalker is way squishier than a pylon. You could be like, oh shit, we're getting all in. Let's pull my boys. And then tell like green box like this. You'd be like, probes go, army go. Or like probes go, select the army, attack. So like, also think about where you're putting your units location wise. You don't have to stand right there. Okay, I'm going to show you an example, because you are dead here at this point. We'll speed through this now, but look at this. This arrived at like 310, okay? And at 310, you had... Actually, I'll write this down somewhere else. 310, you had 1 Stalker and 7 probes on natural and no battery. You don't have Robo done. You don't have Core done. You don't even have Warp Gates started. But you have 1 Stalker, 7 probes, and no battery. That's what you have at 3 minutes and 10 seconds, right? Now we'll speed through this. You're definitely fucking dead now, because it's just gonna ripple effect all the way to your death now, because you don't have any units to actually defend yourself. Like at this point, from 310, there's nothing you could have done. You were fucking dead, because the opener of your build was off. Watch this. I will do an example for you really fast. We'll pause it at 310. And now I'm going to do everything we talked about. I'm going to stack close patches. I'm going to build buildings on time. And I'm just going to do BetaGM. I'm going to do the BetaGM build order and all that shit. And we're going to see how many units I can get out by 310. And how many probes I have on the natural by 310. These are things that ripple throughout the game. People never think it's important, but it's super important. So let's go ahead and stack my close patches. Boom, right there. I just did it. And now we'll stack that one right there. And my close patching stack it's done. I've already just completed it. It's completely done. Let's go ahead and make a pylon. And now I'm trying to make sure a double probe go to a single patch. So now I'm about ready to build my gateway, so let's grab a probe before I'm ready to build it and go build it. And now let's also build our gas. Trying to boost my Nexus. And we can now send a probe out to go scout his base. Now we'll take probe 19 to go to the natural. We haven't missed a probe here. There was 6 seconds of idle time here. This is when like you weren't building a probe. Like you would have started one now, right? So now we'll make a probe. We'll have it go to our natural to build the Nexus. It should be arriving right around the time we get 400 minerals. That's ideally how it's supposed to go. We get the 400 minerals. We have it started now. We come back to our base. We stop making probes for just like a split second here to make our core fast. This is normal at 20 supply. We can now go right back into making probes. We just scouted our opponent. We make another gas. All our patches have 2 per patch, by the way. We can now make a second pylon. We rallied the Nexus on the gas while it's building the assimilator, not the geyser. We're going to start a Stalker, Warp Gate, Chrono Boost. We can start a pylon at our third. Or, sorry, at our natural. Our third pylon at the natural is what I meant to say. Because, again, we're afraid of getting all in here. So let's assume we just scouted an all in. We're now getting ready to deal with it. Because we're afraid of an all in. We have a Stalker already out. We're making probes. Sentries in production. We can make a shield battery. If we're afraid of all in, you can make a battery as a priority. Just throwing it out there. Okay, and now we're going to start our Robo. Okay, we're going to start our next unit, our Stalker. And we can make our Gateway. And right now, 310. So this is when the all-in happened to you, right? So at 310, in the game that we watched, we had 1 Stalker, 7 probes on the natural, and no battery. That was it. You had a building sentry. You had a building robo and a gateway. And, you know, that was what you had. In this game, we have... How many probes are on this? There's 9 probes. So we have 2 more probes. We're up by 2 more probes on the natural already at this point. 2 more probes on the natural. And we even had, like, we ended the game, so we didn't make another one, but we have enough money to make another probe here. So we would actually have another one in production here, and this one's about to pop out soon. But anyways, we're up by 2 probes, right? That's a little bit of a difference. It's nice. It's extra 2 bodies that could walk at the Marines if we needed it to be that way. There was no battery. We already have a battery done by 310. Because again, if you think you're going to get all in, you can definitely prioritize the battery. This is exactly what I was saying in Beta GM, where I was like, if you guys are afraid of an all-in hitting you, just add a battery to your build. If there's no natural and you're like, oh god, this is fucking all in, just make a fucking battery. It's totally fine. It's all that matters about the pylon, fucking speed of the pylon being built. Your first probe that goes to the natural after your main's fully saturated is the one who builds the pylon. You don't walk around the mineral line and then come back and then build a pylon and then also don't build a battery. Battery is fucking huge at holding all-ins. So we have a battery. There was no battery in the example we watched a second ago. We have 2 more probes and we have a fucking sentry. We already have a sentry done. The sentry's extra. It's an extra body that can absorb damage, and it's also extra damage to throw back at the fucking Terran. And this is 6 damage every 0.7 seconds, which can help like kill Marines essentially, like both units. But it will actually be somewhat decent at killing Marines. Like this probe can kill a Marine every probably like fucking 4 seconds, roughly. That's not nothing. It's definitely something. It helps a little bit. And then ultimately, if it gets all the way to the point as well where we have 75 energy on this bad boy, we could put a Guardian Shield up, which is fucking crazy good at like reducing damage that we take while we're getting healed by a battery. And then on top of everything else, again, remember how we talked about how you didn't even have Warp Gate? Our Warp Gate, again, is almost done. It's like 60% of the way done. Which means when this unit finishes, which is going to finish in the next 20 seconds, this Warp Gate is going to be only like 10, 12, 14 seconds away from finishing. Which means this gateway and this gateway are going to both be ready to turn into a Warp Gate when this Warp Gate upgrade is about done. It's really 38 seconds from finishing. And look at the second gateway. It's 42 seconds away from finishing. So our gateway is mildly delayed because we had to make a battery because we were afraid of an all-in. Because you could also say, I'll go robo gateway first before battery. Or you could say, I'll go battery and then robo gateway. It makes more sense to go battery first if you think you're going to die right now. Because if you go robo first, you're like saying, hey, please don't all-in me for a little while. I'm making tech. I'm going to make buildings. Don't attack me for a bit. But your opponent's like, I'm all-inning you, though. That's my whole point. I'm going to attack you early because it's an all-in. So definitely prioritize the battery if it's an all-in. And again, the last thing is what the final time I'll say it. You had one stalker out with one sentry in the gateway. We have a stalker and a sentry already out, and we have another stalker almost halfway done in the gateway. And all of this makes sense because we maintained production on everything. We're ahead in every way. The only, and honestly, our robo, your robo was about halfway done when you died. I would say. You guys can disagree with me if you want. I would say I think your robo was like 25 seconds or so into production. Roughly. My robo is 20. It's fucking super close. The only thing I think that you had an advantage on was your gateway was a little bit faster than this. Your gateway was also about 25 seconds into production. Ours is only 4 seconds into production. But you want to know what this gateway is supposed to be designed for? It's supposed to be designed to pair with warp gate, not to just make units out of a gateway, like without warp gate. So making this gateway faster, I feel like, is not the biggest of deals. It's like it's not super necessary if you're going to do the robo double gate build bullshit here. It's supposed to pair with warp gate. I hope this makes sense. I hope this helps. But I would say definite difference in what you could have had when he attacked you. And if I'm not going to lie, if I got attacked right now by 4 Marines and 2 Marauders, I could pull 9 probes, I could overcharge my battery, and I could fight him off with a Stalker and a Sentry as well, and I guarantee I would fucking not die. Because even if I lose all these probes, I can rebuild probes on 2 Nexus while my opponent is 1 base all-inning. So losing your probes at your natural, who gives a fuck if your opponent's 1 base all-inning you? They haven't even started a natural command center. So probes is totally worthwhile to lose. I hope that makes sense. Thank you for doing analysis, though, Titan. Much love, man. And anyone else out there who's a Protoss player who's struggling at getting all in like that, hopefully that helps you too. But yeah, much love, guys. I'll see you in the next video. And good luck to you in your own games. Peace. Bye, guys. See ya.